All right, guys, welcome to my channel. Crypto Tyke here, the inflation avoider. How are you all getting on? Well, with it being the start of the week, it's just been a case of me looking and seeing what's going on. I expect to have more income to deploy towards the midweek, end of the week. So I've got little bits that I have taken advantage of today as well. Solana, which I felt, while it's under $130,000, which translates to roughly under £100 in my money, is a good opportunity for buying. So I thought I might as well take advantage of that while the going is good. Another thing I'm looking at will be probably a bit more Ethereum. Now, Ethereum have a big upgrade coming soon, so that should be interesting to see what happens with that. And I think it is a decent time and a decent enough price for Ethereum. Now, it's quite interesting to me how Tom Lee and Michael Saylor have been getting so much crap over the last week or two. Seems to be something going on with JP Morgan as well, by all accounts. I think TradFi have got the knives out for people like Michael Saylor and Tom Lee, and obviously a lot of scare stories have been going around about Bitcoin recently. If you want to know more about that, check out one of my previous videos on that subject. I'm not going to go into it too deeply, but I've been of the mind that while institutions, and when I say institutions, what I mean is when these mysterious scare stories going around, they usually come from somewhere, and institutions are buying Bitcoin and Ethereum. So if they're telling you not to do it, you've got to ask why. Is it that they want to buy it off you? And that is part of the reason probably the markets are as they are, which is in extreme fear at the moment. And I think one of the key things for me has been trying to be sensible, but take advantage of opportunities at the same time. Now, the last thing you want to do is catch a falling knife, and you've got to be really wary of that. And that's why I haven't been too impressed with people who continue to say, keep buying Kaspa, and now's a chance to buy more Kaspa, because there's always a chance it's going to drop lower. But having said that, I will admit that I have got a buy order, well, a limit order ready to go for Kaspa in and around where it is now, just to add, as usual, and take advantage of the opportunities as they are without overextending myself, and making sure I am focusing on things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana first. But it's a good time. I'm not going to tell anybody, not financial advice, of course, and I am not a financial advisor. I wouldn't tell anybody that it's a bad time to buy Kaspa, because, well, it's a long, long process, and their roadmap, well, there's a long way still to go before it really turns into the big money maker that is capable of being. The next step in the roadmap would make it more attractive to institutions and investors. But what we really need is the smart contracts by Kaspa, not the Kasplets, the actual smart contracts to make it possible to now build apps directly on Kaspa. That's going to take a few years, I would imagine, for that to appear, but the road is long. And that is why we all know, if you're buying Kaspa, you're in it for the long haul. You're in it for 5, 10, 15 years. And that's when you'll see the real decent returns on it. And of that, I am still very, very confident, because I always scrutinize what I research and what I look into. And I scrutinize it worse than anything, because I try to prove myself wrong. And if I can't prove myself wrong properly, then it's obviously something decent. And Kaspa is very much like that. But the key to it all is going to be adoption. And some arguments, and they're only minor at the moment, is the timing, and that institutions are already choosing where they're going with things, such as Solana, such as Ethereum, Avalanche and things like that. They're not going to move away from that once they're happy with what they're using. Now, Kaspa does solve a lot of problems and is going to be very fast because there's a block DAG and be able to process a lot of transactions. And the question is whether they can convince enough institutions to get on board. And you just need that to start rolling over time and start to trust it and think, yeah, actually, this is something I can work with. And Kaspa does have that capability. And long term, it's, a solid bet. The only drawback is that it's organic. The growth is organic, which means it doesn't get fast-tracked like other things like Avalanche, for instance, does. And that's why you see the price of Avalanche being what it is and the adoption it's getting. But Kaspa will get there once all these things are ticked off. So we're in it very early, and opportunities like now are good. Does it mean it can't go lower? Of course, Kaspa can always go lower. You're in it for the long haul. And my only problem has been that people have been actually FOMOing into Kaspa, saying that they're going to FOMO in when it's at $1. Well, they've already FOMOed in, and they've been buying at 20 cents, 15 cents, 10 cents, and they could have had 10 times as much Kaspa had they just sat back and done nothing and bought in now. And it's not just hindsight, it's maths, and that's all I've ever said about Kaspa is just be patient because it's a long-term project. But now is as good a time as any to be buying, and you might as well take advantage of it. While I think personally, while it's under 5 cents, it's all good. You're going to be able to grow that stack at quite a rate over the months if you are buying under 5 cents. Whether I'd look to buy ever at this moment in time in the next 6 months' time, I don't think I'd be buying when it's over 7 cents. I think I'd just wait and see what happens. But while it's under 5, yeah, it's fair game. So good opportunities coming up. And if you don't rush in and you have limit orders set, then you might be able to pick up some real bargains when it does dip even further. Even if it's only briefly, your limit orders are going to be your saviour on that, and that's what I've been playing. So that's my take for now, where I'm at with Kaspa. I wouldn't say don't buy it, but I wouldn't at this moment in time dedicate too much to it. Still concentrate on the fundamentals, the Bitcoin, the Ethereum, the Solana, and that's exactly what I'm doing at the moment. It's just decision making. I've got a little bit that I've deployed this week, and I'm going to be getting more income in, so that is then going to be deployed at the end of the week when I see what's going on with the market, and then I will decide what to buy, whether that is more Kaspa, whether it's topping up a few of the lower caps that are in red at the moment and bringing that average price down. I don't know. I'll make that decision as I come to it. Nothing is ever set in stone, and that's just how I work. I have a strategy, and I have to see how the lie of the market to get an idea what is best to move on and what is not. And I find that Solana under $130 is a decent price and well worth taking advantage of. And then I can stop buying that for a while and concentrate on other things. It's just the way I weigh things up. I think I will be getting a bit more Ethereum by the time the week's out as well. I like to take advantage of things in extreme fear because that's what people who are investing long term really need to do. Not financial advice, of course, but at the same time, I think you also need to be strategic with it and sensible with your picks in time like this, because it's quite easy to get into a situation where you're missing out on the solid opportunities to try and get your average price down on things that are not so guaranteed. And we're in a market that is changing, it is going to mature, and things that used to work once upon a time no longer work now. So we've got to look to the future. We've got to look at projects, solid projects. What is going to be around, what is going to be the be-all and end-all in the next 5 to 10 years. Those are the projects I'm looking at. As people will already know, I don't touch meme coins, and I think there's going to be a time when a lot of people are going to get burnt if they're still holding meme coins in the coming years, and that's just going to be a gambler's market, pure and simple. So if my portfolio, which it isn't, doesn't have any, but if it was overloaded or had a few too many meme coins, I might be tempted to get out at the next opportunity if that was the situation, because I think this market is going through a big transitional period. And what we're looking at here, much like with AI, is the technology. And that is what crypto is about. It is about the technology. And that is where my focus is. And with me having 5, 10 years, 15, that is what I'm looking at. I've got to always look at what has got long-term survivability and growth as well, because I don't want to be wasting my money in crypto, and I'm certainly not here to gamble. Anyway, it is mainly a waiting game. As always, really, if you're sensible and you're just watching what's going off rather than diving in every time there's a little change, then more often than not, you're going to long-term make the right decisions. But it can be tempting to, when prices move, to jump on. Now, they are expecting a bit of a bounce, maybe this week, maybe next week, or in the coming weeks. We don't know whether that's going to be a permanent bounce or maybe even then be the start of an alt season, or whether it's just going to be a bit of a fake out and prices come right back down again. So that's why I want to buy a little bit until this bounce really does play out, and then I can look with my next load of income at where I'm going to deploy that money. But yeah, it's not been easy for people who are holding crypto. I understand, obviously it's the same for me, but it's also opportunity. So why chase the greens when we can now just start to look at our portfolios and see what needs what on an individual basis and take it from there. So that is all I'm doing at the moment, just watching, waiting, putting things into those fundamentals, as I call them, and yes, topping up Kaspa as well. Anyway, guys, thank you ever so much for watching. I hope it's been somewhat interesting at the very least. It's hard knowing what to say all the time. That's just my latest update, and I'll try and keep you updated with my journey as we go along and talk about things as they happen. If you haven't already, please do hit that like button, because it really does make a difference for the algorithm, and especially for a small channel like mine that needs all the support that it can get. So if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, and also the little bell icon as well, to be updated as soon as I do a video. Anyway, all that's left to really say is thank you ever so much for watching, and I will catch you later. Bye bye.